our eyes.
en
So
direct
you're
d'Amérique,
there
là.
in Atlanta, where
On
certainly
regarde
there
un
was
petit
a recent
peu
moment.
voilà,
So how are
voilà.
you kind of
C'est
handling all of this
que
emotionally
il
right
y a
now?
des tickets de remboursement apparemment qui
I mean,
sont
as an American,
offerts.
it's hard because it's we know that our country is progressing. We know that on the other side of that progression, that we all are going to be better. I think our community and people who are essentially descendants of the cornerstone of this nation, and the cornerstone of this nation is the Constitution is important, the founding fathers was important, but free labor allowed all that to stand. And as the descendant of a slave, and then when I say descendant, I don't mean anything long. My great grandmother taught me how to sew a button on a shirt as she was sewing blankets that we still use in my house. Her mother was born enslaved. So that's how close slavery is. I know how to sew a button because a slave taught her child to, and that child taught me to. That's how close. So I think that I'm excited that progress is happening, but I know on the other side of that progression, Breonna, Mr. Floyd, brother that was killed here, there are martyrs, and we've long been martyrs for the progression of this country, and I hope that as we enter into another martyrdom, another black person has died at the hands of the state. I hope that we enter this coming out determined to see justice on the front end, and not only when we're angry. I hope that coming out of this, the young people that are in the streets organizing, continue to organize in the time of peace like they are in time of war, because they're organizing effectively. They're causing systemic change in the immediate and not some protracted campaign. And I support that. And plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. And as long as you keep doing that, you're going to capitalize off the gains that you're making. And I appreciate, and I don't mean capitalize in a monetary way. I mean, these kids are capitalizing, progressing. Organizers on the ground level who've been working for years to campaigning around police brutality and violence have in an instant been able to organize people to progress law.
Yeah, it's been a lot of impressive moments. I mean, you mentioned about how the young people, they're so organized, because I think about the progression from, say, Ferguson to now, and it's been pretty
Yeah,
outstanding when you think
absolutely.
about it. What has impressed you the most about what you're seeing right now?
What has impressed me that
Mhm.
in '92 we rioted in Atlanta. There were riots in other cities. There were riots in Los Angeles, but there was no until after it was over. What's impressed me is the ability to use
Le psycho,
technology.
les
We
gars.
haven't gotten
Pourri la
as
plus
efficient
con.
as Hong Kong, but it's coming.
Les
You
gars,
are
les gars.
seeing at a day and age where in an
Petit
instant
live,
people
petit
are able to
live.
mob on a place, people are able to say what needs to be said and go and get ghosts. You're seeing in an instant what our grandparents were able to do. Like we have a house party app in which people can sit down on that house party app. You can organize with those 8 people to know what are we going to do in school, what are we going to do in local school boards, what are we going to do with city council. Our grandparents used to have to do that in the basement.
Des
Now
petits
you're able to do it over your
pesos.
phones and organize effectively and immediately. So I'm impressed by the level of organization I've seen. Because when I was an organizer at 15, 16 years old, we'd have to literally meet for 30 days to plan something that you might strike that might be 3 hours or even 30 minutes, but you're constantly there. These kids are able to do it, and these young
Ouais,
people
ouais,
and these
ouais.
organizers are able to do it in a blink of an eye. But that only happens when you train like Floyd Mayweather. Organizers are like Mayweather. They never not train. And I think that these are the people again that we should be looking to follow in these times.
But you dropped the mention of the House Party app. Mike, are you on House Party? You use it?
I
J'ai
just
les
found out
sous-titres, hein,
about it.
les
I
gars.
got the cool people in my life helped me to what's new. The two apps I'm most interested in right now are House Party, and there's an app called Convos that allows me to speak directly back and forth with people. That's a lot cooler than
Ceux qui
sometimes
arrivent,
Twitter where stuff gets
abonnez-vous et
lost in
tout, un petit
translation.
peu.
But I'm still over there tweeting with the angry moms and dads. Shouts out to the old folks.
I think about where activism was on this issue in particular when Ferguson happened, and looking at it now, and it's while there was definitely a lot of positives that came out of Ferguson, particularly the Black Lives Matter movement. Seeing the level and the difference is that clearly there was a lot of lessons learned there, and they've
Yeah.
applied them now. And so there, it definitely seems much more cohesive, and that's been impressive. What has impressed you about what you're seeing, especially from these young people who really have seemed to seize this moment?
What I've seen be most beautiful about this time is kids have the ability to adjust and move and be like water. They're truly plotting, planning, strategizing, organizing, mobilizing. The skateboard kids came in. Usually you would see in the 60s, black people who look like me. We'd make public protests. We'd get our heads split open. Sympathetic whites and allies and people who truly believe in freedom, justice, and equality entered the stage. Now, not only are you beating black people, you're dragging off white people. Like, and it became a tapestry, a unified front to give us our most basic civil rights and acknowledge our human rights. That tapestry is happening again, and it's happening in a bigger and better way. I was talking about those skateboard kids. I saw those kids first come in as defenders. When police were hacking with people with batons, they held up the skateboards to protect them. Most kids who skateboard, my kids skateboarders, most skateboard kids in the South don't look like me, right? But I saw the skateboard community literally come in and save protesters from beatings, and then they got really frisky and they started attacking back. And I was like, this is, although I don't want violence in the streets because those kids deserve to grow to be adults without being soldiers against the state that their parents pay taxes to. It impressed me that the proletariat showed government that you work for us. And in this moment, we are exercising our right to make public display of the evil that has happened. It makes me proud that I live in a country that has long promised equality, rarely given it to people who look like me. People who don't look like me defending.
You made an interesting note and observation about the skateboard crew. And I think anybody who's watching has noticed that it's not just black people who are out here protesting.
No, it's not. It's a tapestry of people.
It's a tapestry of people.
The Amish. The Amish.
Yeah. Wasn't that crazy?
I didn't even know the Amish saw the news.
I was thinking, who told them? Right? I was like, how did they find out? Right?
I was so impressed though. I was so thankful. My heart was.
This issue would resonate with them. It kind of reminds me of your music. Your music is unapologetically pro-black, unapologetically, right?
Absolutely.
But yet, when you look at a Killer Mike fan, it's across multicultural section of people.
Yes.
Why do you think your music is able to resonate that way, despite the fact that you are also clearly talking to your people?
Yeah, I'm proud to be me. I like me. I like black people. I'm not making no excuses. I'm not making no apologies coming in the door. I love us. I am in love with us. And because I love me, it has nothing to do or affecting my love of others. I have a very good friendship with East Indian cousins, Raj and Neil. They own the store right next to Walters on what's happening. So if you're from Atlanta, you know about Walters. If you're a big guy from Atlanta, you know about, the store right next door. These guys have always just been good to me. Raj went to India. He came back, brought my wife incense, these beautiful little elephant characters. He's proud to be Indian. I've learned about being Indian from my Indian friend. When you're truly who you are, how could you be offended? How could you not love it or like it? Like, man, I'm a part of the original people on earth. I'm from the continent that birthed all humanity. I think when you wear that proudly and unapologetically, and not from a place of needing someone to be below you, there's no reason for a people not to like me. I like you. I got plenty of heroes that don't look like me. There's a portrait of John Brown on my wall in my basement. I thought he's a hero. He doesn't have to look like me. You know what I mean? But I refuse to act like people who look like me aren't great. I didn't say good. I didn't say good enough. I didn't say equal. I said great. I'm from a great and mighty people. And if you can't accept that, then maybe I'm not for you. But I believe that because I am simply who I am, I believe that gets accepted. Because you know what? I remember being on a tour bus, and I'm on there with a bunch of Northeasterners because of course, my rap partner's a white guy from Brooklyn. And we're on there and watching Swamp People, and everybody's laughing. And I come up and stagger into the front, and I look at it, and I start smiling, and I look at the room and say, I got more in common with them than any of y'all. And I just walk to the back. Now, because it's the truth. I'm a Southern boy. My grandparents from Alabama and rural Georgia. I grew up more like people on those shows. So I think across cultural lines and across racial lines, people identify with me, but just because I'm your typical American guy. You know, and I have some special things. I'm not going to deny them special. I was a smart kid, went to Morehouse, had an understanding of some cool stuff. I married a beautiful woman, that helps, you know. But I think that ultimately what resonates with people is that I'm a regular guy. One of my best friends in the world is a white guy from Brooklyn. So I think that people understand that I have the ability not to look past your race or ethnicity, not to look past who you are culturally, but to look at it and love it and learn from it without wanting to co-opt it or be it.
What you're talking about in a very succinct and robust way is really allyship. And that's been a word that, yeah, you have a lot of, it sounds like you have a lot of really great allies that are in your life. Now in this moment, I've gotten the question constantly. I assume you have too, about how to be an ally. You know, what do I have to do? Right? I've had so many conversations with white people, like really good friends of mine, in the last 2 weeks. Where all right, guys, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but
hold on
a second. But nevertheless, that being said, is that, you know, what would you say to somebody who wants to not only be an ally, but be a good ally?
You want to be a good ally in this moment. White corporation, white person with the means, that's a worthy allyship. On a ground level, if you're just working hard every week, you don't know what to do, you're an electrician, you're a plumber, grab one young man who doesn't look like you, a young woman, and teach them that trade. That's allyship. Allyship isn't just throwing the money, but if you got the big money, put it towards somewhere. But on a very real and basic level, my son had an accident with a man named Keith. I bought my son a car. My son Malik, with a very pretty girl in the front seat, rear-ended this guy. Calls me. I pull up to Keith and the police officer. I say, if he'll allow me to handle this privately, I just don't want to call my insurance company because, you know, I had just got in an accident. I drive fast. My son, Keith, in good faith, gave me the opportunity to do that, and me and this man became friends. You know, I'm literally friends with this white man who told me about Atlanta pre-white flight and desegregation, who's taught me about fatherhood and the importance of presence in the child's life. That doesn't happen if we're not open for it to happen. So an allyship for white people doesn't have to be an organization.
Les gars, je vous ai oublié. Merde. Attendez les gars, je rejoins une vocale. Les gars, je rejoins une vocale.
In that space, we need legislators in that space. You know, we need the people who are really empowered to be in that.
Nova, tu fais quoi? Tu vas aller? Nova? Me dis pas qu'il la crache! Me dis pas qu'il la crache! Oui, en fait, il a pas crash. Aïe! Les gars, j'accepte les demandes de Tammy.
Much deeper than the human condition in the last 500 years. We have to get back to that. So that's my humble opinion. I don't know, you know, where that takes white America. Fighting together.
You know, Mike, we've been having this great conversation, and a lot of people watching, they probably want to know, because again, these things happen in flashes where 1 minute we're talking about this, everybody's fired up, everybody's willing to do this conversation, this action, this momentum going.
Take this conversation, get 8 to 10 people around you, your neighbors and people who live within 10 square miles, and start to see what you can do to affect. and then connect with other people that may be in closer proximity, 30, 40, 50 miles, even another city or places that are doing it right, or that are doing it right in other places. Connect with those people and just, if all of us do a little, no one has to do a lot. If all of us do a little, if all of us pick a little to do, no one will have to do a lot.
That's a word right there. If we all do a little bit, nobody has to do a lot.
Has to do a lot.
Um,
Absolutely.
Nobody has to do a lot. Mike, I have enjoyed this conversation like I enjoy every conversation with you. I can
I
certainly
love you.
talk to you. Yes, it is mutual. The mutual respect
Absolutely.
and love of society right here. Thank you. And more importantly, thank you for everything you do on the ground. I mean, so many people, I knew that you tell the truth the way it needs to be told, but a lot of people during this time of crisis have been
Yes.
exposed to you and understand that, you really are for the people. This is
I
called
am.
We the People.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is you all day long. So thank you for all the work and all the inspiration, all the words, everything that you're adding to this conversation, and more importantly to this action. With that said, we have to say goodbye, but we don't have to get out of here just yet because I'm gonna toss this on to my brother
Okay.
Van Jules, who can take it from here.
Jamel and I, we spent the past hour, we've been talking to Killer Mike, we've been talking to Elaine Welteroth. We also got a chance to see that amazing video from Lil Baby. Jamel, what did you get from your conversation with Killer Mike? And more importantly to me, what do you make of this moment that we're in?
The one thing you can always expect from Killer Mike is blunt honesty. I think that's why a lot of people look at him as a really credible voice right now. He's honest about what he knows and honest about what he doesn't know. So I think when you have those elements, that's going to always make for a pretty good conversation. I'm with you. I mean, this moment at the same time is welcome. It's also a little bit surreal in terms of what took us so long to get here to make sure that we're not.
En fait, les gars, c'est déjà passé, ça me saoule. En fait, normalement, t'as des tickets de RBS, remboursement. Ouais. Normalement. Si je me trompe pas. J'ai plus de tickets. Attendez les gars, je demande à un pote s'il peut m'inviter. Je vais montrer, invite-moi STP. Oh, il y a un gars qui m'a dit que pas refusé. Oui, bon. On va se laisser sur ça les gars. C'était Zayfox.